Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Lori. Today I have a very special video. I've been gearing up to share this with you. I'm reintroducing a concept that I talked about almost 2 years ago. In July of 2020, I did a series called From the Store to Your Door. I took you with me step by step from purchasing an item, getting it home, cleaning it, listing it, all the tools that I used, and then actually selling it, packaging up, and shipping it off. I wanted to show my entire process of how I do my business. In the very first video, I talked about the 5 strands of sourcing, which are the guidelines that I use to make my decisions when I'm outsourcing. These are 5 things that I look at when I go to purchase something. It's a little checklist, and I'm looking to see what items check these boxes. So I'm gonna introduce or reintroduce those strands to you in today's video, and then we're gonna go to Savers, and I'm going to show you 25 items that I looked at and considered whether or not I picked them up, why I picked them up or left them behind, and which boxes did those items check or not check to help lead me to my decision. I will link the playlist in the description for you if you want to go back and watch From the Store to Your Door series. I really think you'll find some value in this video, so let's jump right into it. These are in no particular order, but I look at all of these strands when I'm shopping. So first one is cost. In my previous video, I called it price. I switched it to cost because I have 3 strands that start with a C. So I've officially changed it to cost. Cost is always an issue, right? We always wonder, should I pay up for this? What is my threshold? Like, oh, well, I would pay $2 for that at the bins, but I wouldn't pay $7 for that at Savers. Cost is always one of those things that we are thinking about. Many of us have a sourcing budget, how much we want to spend in a month on our business. And we're also always looking for the return. If I spend $5 on an item, I want it to sell for at least whatever number in order to get a good return. That is different for all of us. Some of us have access to brands that, we are happy to invest $10, $15, $20 because they're going to bring us a return of over $50 profit. And then there are many of us who have access to more things like mall brands. This item is going to sell for $20, making my profit around $16 after platform fees. That's like given a 20% fee from platforms like Poshmark or eBay, roughly. eBay sometimes varies a little bit. Is this something that I would give a shipping discount that's going to eat more into my profit? Then what am I willing to spend on an item that's going to bring me a return of about $14? Cost is always something I will consider when I'm thrifting. We'll do the 3 C's first because those are easy to remember. So number 2 is condition. You can find something that is a great price that is in terrible condition and nothing else would matter. If there's a big old stain in the front or a beautiful wool sweater with a giant hole, there are just some things we can't bring back to life. There was a point in my thrifting career when I would take home all these little projects that I wanted to save. Oh, I can't leave you behind. Oh, I can stitch you. Oh, I'll send you to the cleaners. And for me, most of those items end up in my death pile, which is a pile of unlisted items that just kind of sit there and stare me down. And I've learned through the years that certain projects just aren't worth taking home. So condition is really important. Number 3 is comps. So comps are comparative sold prices on items that you're looking at. So you may find something that's a great price and the condition is great, but then you look at the comps and you're like, oh, I mean, even though this is $5, I see that it's only selling for $15. For me, that wouldn't be worth it. For you, it might be. I'm not here to tell you what your profit margins should be or what you should pay for items. I'm just letting you know the guidelines that I use to make my decisions. So you can kind of insert your personal situation into these guidelines and go from there. A little subtitle to the comps category is saturation. By saturation, I mean how many of these are available on these platforms. So if I see this dress and I see that the comps are around $25, $30, what I then want to look at is how many of these dresses are actually listed and in what size. So sometimes I'll look at an item and it might be saturated In certain sizes, typically they're smaller sizes. So maybe this dress is selling for about $30 and it's a $5 investment. But I notice that there are no larges whatsoever listed, and there are about 30 smalls. If I picked up this dress and it was a small, I would say, wow, the market's really saturated in size smalls. But I'm noticing it's a really nice dress. It would be flattering on a larger frame, which I always consider for myself. Maybe I wouldn't pick this up if it were in a small, but because it's a large and I think it's a flattering style, maybe I'll go for this because I think it has a better chance of selling in a large. And nothing is black and white. I could buy this and it could sit forever. Saturation is definitely something you want to consider when you're looking at comps, in addition to looking at comps. So far, cost, condition, comps, and saturation. Number 4 is brands. I am always on the hunt for certain brands that I know will bring me a good return. There are obviously some serious players in the brands category. Some of the fashion houses, the luxury brands like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent. Those are the types of brands that like we'll never forget finding if we happen to be fortunate enough to find one in the right condition that will sell well. Those are the things that are plastered all over Instagram. If we find a certain coveted brand, Rothy's is another good example. Teaks is another good example. Certain brands that people are always on the lookout for. If you hear of the term BOLO, that means be on the lookout for. I've talked to many people who are like, what the heck is BOLO? What does that mean? It means be on the lookout. Yeah, be on the lookout for Yves Saint Laurent handbags. Sure, that would be great. But those are things that we don't find all the time. I think everybody would agree that certain brands bring a higher return than other brands. So it's always something to consider, but it's not the only thing to consider. And I am definitely guilty of being sucked in to buying a brand that I've heard other people talk about, other influencers, other YouTubers, friends, whatever it is. Oh, this is a great brand. Oh, this brand sells great for me. I've said it 100 times and people say, really? That brand doesn't sell at all for me. Again, guidelines. Think of how this works in your life, in your closet. Some people think that they don't have a curated closet because they don't have a certain style. Like, well, this person's closet is all career wear, or this person's really boho, or this person has a lot of modern or vintage. Even if you don't think you have a curated closet, in my opinion, you do, because we all have a certain style. So I am going to migrate to things that I like. I have things like Lily Pulitzer next to Free People, which are two different aesthetics. It's still part of the types of things that I pick up for my closet. So even though you don't think you have a curated closet, you are constantly tweaking your closet and building a brand and building a closet that is a reflection of you as a seller. Certain brands might sell better for one person than another. We have to acknowledge that. And then there are general brands that I think a lot of people are looking for. To refer back to Rothy's. Rothy's within the reselling community seems to be a brand that people are always looking for. It's almost like a rite of passage when you find your first pair of Rothy's in the wild or your first pair of Teaks in the wild. I've never found Teaks before, but I found a handful of Rothy's and it's very exciting. It still is exciting when I find them for the right price. But you can't let brands dictate your entire decision when it comes to sourcing. One of the brands that I picked up and recently just picked up again and looked at comps, and again, the comps weren't very good, but I picked it up because it was low cost, is LK Bennett. LK Bennett was one of those brands that I think Kate Middleton wore. There are certain pieces from the brand that I think do really well, but I was so thrilled when I found an LK Bennett dress and it sat forever for me. Let me know in the comments if there's a brand that you were like gaga over when you found, and then 7 months later, a year later, it's still in your shop and you're like, why did I pick this up again? So try not to let brands rule your entire decision, but it definitely plays a role in your sourcing. All right, and last up is style. Style is very relevant, and there are certain people that don't really look at brands. They are looking for style. I think a great example of a reseller who doesn't focus on brand so much would be a vintage reseller. You're looking for style, you're looking for quality, fabric content, things that are relevant now. That might be like a resurgence. A good example is I recently found a Lawns of Salzburg, like popcorn, sweater cardigan that buttons up. I haven't sold it yet because I have it priced very high. Unbeknownst to me, I picked it up because it was a good brand and it was a good price, but that's like a really trendy thing right now. I don't know that many people would have picked it up for the brand. I happen to like Lawns of Salzburg because I sell those like really conservative nightgowns for like $25 all the time. So I pick them up when they're cheap enough. But that sweater I think is a good example of brand or no brand. The style of it is something that people are looking for right now. So style is super important. I think right now also Y2K is huge. That is a style people are seeking out and they're paying more money for it than they were 5-6 years ago. So Y2K, even though you're seeing brands like Wet Seal or LEI or I don't even know some of the Y2K brands. Even if it's a Forever 21, but it's a Y2K style, the style could be what sells the piece over the brand. So again, something to consider, but not everything. Sometimes I talk about what I call a home run pickup. And a home run pickup is something that checks all the boxes. It's something that costs very little. The comps are amazing, great sold comps for lots of money. The condition is beautiful. The style is relevant and something that people are looking for, and the brand is excellent. One pickup that comes to mind was this sweater that I didn't even know the brand, but I saw that it was a cool looking cardigan. The price was just like $5.50. And the condition was absolutely beautiful, like new. And when I looked at the comps, it was this brand out of Spain, I believe, and it was called Baba. And the comps were between $150 and $250. That is what I consider to be a home run. And it did sell for me for like $179 in 2 weeks. That is a brand that I'm always on the lookout for. Bolo brand, Baba. Because the cost was low, the condition was beautiful, the comps were amazing, the style was something that people were looking for, and the brand obviously attracted people to my closet. That was a home run. Another time, I found a pair of retired Rothy's at the bins. They cost under $2. They were retired. They were in mint condition. They were no longer available, which made that style even more desirable. And the comps were incredible. I ended up selling those for $200 within a couple of days. Those are the home run items. But those are very few and far between. In most cases, we have to compromise when we're sourcing. So we'll look at something and we'll say, well, I really like this. The condition is good. The brand is good. It's a little high. The comps aren't great, but is it enough for me to take it home? And I think those are the decisions we're making most of the time as resellers. It's very rare. Don't believe anybody who tells you that it's a home run every time you leave your house. This business is a grind. You're going to kiss a lot of frogs before you get your home run piece. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to have a lot of $15 returns, $10 returns, but all those little sales also add up. So there is no judgment what style reseller you are, but I think these 5 things are really important to consider when you're sourcing. So now enough of me talking. I get excited when I talk about sourcing. Let's head over to Savers. I'm going to go through 25 items that I see at Savers. It's only like 7 or 8 minutes more. And I'm going to talk about whether or not I picked it up, why I didn't pick it up, which boxes it checks. And I think 3 of the items have sold. So we can look at what they sold for and whether or not it was a good investment. Let's check out what we have. So as we're shopping, keep in mind that I do have a 20% off coupon that I will be able to use when I check out. And on the screen here are the 5 strands of sourcing that I will be looking out for: cost, condition, comps, style, and brand. These Miss Me jeans were priced at $8.99 plus 20% off. They're the Easy Boot. They are heavily embellished, which is the only way I will buy Miss Me jeans. The comps are anywhere between $18 and $75, the average being somewhere between $30 and $40. The condition was great. I grabbed them. Next up are a pair of Levi's with an orange tab, which very much excited me, and these were priced at, I believe, $4.99. They checked a lot of the boxes. Comps are pretty good on orange tab Levi's. This blank NYC I left behind because the comps were bad. This has pretty much become a bins brand for me. These UFOs checked all the boxes. This is their classic style. They were just $4 after the 20%. Like new condition, they sold fast for $40. I decided to look at the comps on this Playboy Misguided collab. Even though these aren't brands I typically go for, it was $8.49, a little high on the price. Some of the returns were decent, but those were mostly on the new with tag items. The pre-owned one was just $15, so I'd left this behind. Next up is this Eileen Fisher sweatshirt. You can see right off the start that there is that big grease stain on the front. It's priced at $8.49. If this was under $5 and unstained, I probably would have grabbed it because I liked that raw edge there, but the condition was not good. It remains to be seen if this was a good pickup. This is a Lululemon, and I do like the texture and design of it, but I haven't been able to find comps on it because I'm not quite sure of the style. But it was just $4 after the discount, so I'm confident that I should get between $28 and $35 for this. I really did love the style of this 9 West jacket, but that brand does not do very well for me. The price wasn't great and the comps were surprisingly low. So I really wanted to take this coat home with me because I loved the leopard pattern and it was in such beautiful condition. But the cost, the brand, and the comps told me otherwise, so I left that behind. These were some denim overalls by Hollister that upon first glance I thought were a no-brainer, but when I looked at the comps, they were surprisingly low. Again, I really do love to pick up overalls, and typically the brand really doesn't matter to me, but these were more of a fitted style, and I don't think that that style does so well, so I left these behind. I always like to check the comps on Department 56 pieces because they can be quite valuable. On this particular set, the comps ran between $15 and $45, more in that $20 range, and I do think that it was a little bit saturated on eBay, so I left it behind. I've been finding a fair amount of Gymshark at this particular Savers. $10.49 is high for this brand, but at the same time, I think it sells very well. I ended up grabbing this first pair and gave them to my daughter. The second pair that you're going to see, I grabbed and listed them, and they have sold for $30. So it wasn't a high profit, but the condition on both of these was great. The brand is very consistent for me. The style was good. The cost on these were a little bit high, and the comps weren't out of this world, but they were very consistent, so I grabbed them. I think this pickup is pretty interesting because this is the first one that I'm really questioning the style. The brand is Eileen Fisher. I do okay with Eileen. I like to pick her up. The price was $10.49, but not bad relative to the original price tag, which is $148. The condition was great. The cost wasn't bad. The brand is good to me. It's just the style, so we'll see how these do. So this Ralph Lauren sweater was priced just at $7.99, which for a black label, which is at the top of the food chain in the Ralph Lauren brand, is really a good price. There were, however, quite a few little pulls like the one I'm showing here. I decided to leave this behind given that the style wasn't the best in my opinion, and it's a little bit out of season and the condition wasn't great. But after looking at some of the comps, they were just so all over the place, from $8 all the way up to over $150. I think this really could have gone either way. Let me know what you would have done. Universal Standard is a brand that I don't always find in my area. I was really excited to find this beautiful dress in an extra large. As you can see on the screen here, the comps are really good. I decided to grab this one. I thought this Levi's sweatshirt was really cute. The price is a little high for a sweatshirt. The three most recent comps were $12, $17, and $34 for new with tag. The comps just weren't there, so I decided to leave this behind. A woman shopping close to me was kind enough to hand this bag to me. She thought I might like it. It is an Anya Hindmarch, but this is a collaboration with Target. While this brand has some pretty tremendous comps for the main line, the collaboration with Target, as you can see here, the comps are very low. The condition was just okay, so I definitely left this one behind. I always look at comps on Crocs. The classic lightweight Crocs at the bins are my absolute favorite thing to pick up, but I do look at varying styles just to see if they are worth a pickup. I'm not crazy about this style. They're a little out of season and the comps weren't great, so I left these behind. In contrast to the first Eileen piece, I actually love the style of this sweater. The price is even better. It's a nice open cardigan and I really do love this sweater, but as I examined it and kept looking it over, it's also an older tag, so it's a little outdated, but I still would have grabbed it for this price. But then I found this little hole right here in the front, so unfortunately I had to leave this one behind for condition.
Next up is this little oversized ribbed tunic from Free People. Again, the price wasn't bad, 20% off $6.49. I wasn't totally sold on the style, but I really loved these sleeves. So I kept looking at the sleeves and I was looking it over for condition. I probably would have grabbed this. You can see I'm really examining this because I'm just not quite sure. But those sleeves were really speaking to me. But in the end, I did find a couple stains and I was forced to leave it behind. Okay, Peruvian Connection is one of my very favorite brands to sell. The price is not bad on the sweater, and it looks like it's a newer label, and the knit of the sweater is in really beautiful condition, almost like it had never been washed. I'm just checking out the condition because these wool sweaters you really have to look carefully at. And there it is. I spotted the hole in this sweater, and I was really disappointed because I do love that brand. I do like checking out cabbie pieces. While I am very fussy with them, I knew at a glance that I wasn't going to pick this up. It was heavily pilled, but I thought the style was kind of cute, but the price was high for all that pilling, so that did not come home with me. Next up is this Trina Turks sweater. It's called the Blue Nile sweater, which I looked up and found out that it was sold out on their current website, and the original price was $248. The cost of this was under $6, and while I could not find any comps on this, there were several listed above $50, all the way up to $100, so I did decide to take a chance on this because it was such a new style. Ministry of Supply is definitely a brand you should be on the lookout for. I've sold one of their men's blazers in the $100 range once before, so I knew the label right away. This was a navy blue dress. This has already sold for $117. It is on their current website, or a version of this is, so I knew immediately I was going to grab it. Even though the price was $11.49, I knew it would be a great return. I also picked up a black dress by the same label, which I did not include in my Thrift With Me. That's the Universal Standard. These were all together in one little section.
So I hope you found this video helpful. I've been very excited to reintroduce this to people who might be new to my channel, or just to people who aren't really sure about what to pick up for sourcing. I hope these guidelines are helpful. In review, we have cost, condition, comps, and saturation, style, and brand. Those are the 5 guidelines that I use when I go sourcing. I'm curious if there were any things that I left behind that you would have picked up, or vice versa, that I picked up and you would have left behind. We all have so many decisions to make when we're at a thrift store. There's a short amount of time where you're making quick judgments on items that you're going to take home and sell. So sometimes we make really good decisions and sometimes we don't, but we're always learning. Let me know in the comments the things that you look for when you're outsourcing, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be back real soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everybody. If you would like to see the original playlist from The Store to Your Door from July of 2020, I will link it right here. And also let me know if you like this style video and if you would like me to do it in the future again. Thanks so much.